Niagara 124, your source for news, entertainment, food, and jibber jab. Put on your thinking caps. It better be a Sonic crap. Festival of Lights is back. Ah! Prepare for your debriefing on current events. This week on Niagara 124, and that and that pineapples. All this and more on 124. Hello, everybody! Welcome to Niagara 124 on this fabulous Friday, October 13th, 2017! Woo! And as always, I'm Nico.
I'm Joe.
Bobby.
Is Bobby's mic picking up?
No, I can't figure out which one's which.
I
Bobby,
don't know.
talk closely into the mic.
Hello, I'm over here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it working okay? Can I be heard?
Yeah, this
My mic working?
label is wrong. Your mic's always working. What are you talking about?
Just had to check.
Joe with the good mic.
I have the good mic.
This is my new Hunger Games strategy, in which in order of how you enter the studio is who gets the better mic.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe's in here before either of us.
So technically, Joe gets the good mic. So it'll be a race to the finish to see who gets the.
I'm gonna be
Yes,
sitting here for
ladies
the
and
rest
gentlemen.
of the year.
Also,
sit here for the rest of eternity.
also for you folks
But it's
who,
great because you have a computer, so you can look up news on Not the Onion.
Yeah.
Does this work? Can I be heard?
Yes, it
Yes,
actually
yes.
works
Am
fine.
I
You can
audible?
be heard.
Yeah, here.
Here, have
Sure,
the
and I don't-
have the
Just so
tiny
you can hear
headphones.
it. Just so you can see. Yeah, you can be heard.
Yeah, you
Just
can
so I
be
can
heard.
see.
Yeah.
So you can see through your headphones.
Speaking of seeing, we do not have the camera in here, unfortunately. So if you're listening
Oh,
to
thank
this
God.
on our YouTube channel, don't be shocked. There will be an image, most likely, of a unicorn. I don't know
I mean,
what.
how it was for like the first 3 years.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
gonna be back to the good old days where our photo was just whatever stock image I decided to shove in. It's gonna be a stock image of Kim Jong-un standing in front of a field of corn.
That'll be great. Also, we apologize for the delay in the upload of the other episode. We have things to do sometimes.
Yeah, stuff goes
I
on.
mean, Nico uploads everything.
Life goes on, and I don't.
It'll
yeah,
be up
well,
eventually. Don't worry.
It will be up when this one's up. I'm sure if I edit the video, or that one might also have stock image. Who knows? Because the video is what holds it back. You're holding me back.
Give us
They're
stock.
tearing me apart, Lisa.
Give us stock image or background with dialogue, like visible dialogue and like meme images when stupid stuff happens.
Do you know how hard that is, though?
I will do it.
That's a lot of editing.
I will do it.
You'll do the editing on this? Well, you want me to just give you the files for every episode?
I mean, maybe if I had nothing else to do. But
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you had nothing else to do.
Niagara 124.
maybe
this
if I got
is
paid for this.
Yeah, exactly. Niagara
Yeah.
124. We're not paid for this. This is the lowest of importance. Speaking
Exactly.
of lowest of importance.
So, let's talk about what do you got. Are we talking those parking thingies first?
No, first I'm just gonna we don't endorse candidates on Niagara 124, but
We're endorsing candidates.
yeah. So the 6th district in Niagara County, which includes the Niagara Falls region, the election's coming up in November, and one of the candidates is Jeff Flagg. He served in Iraq. He owns a hostel downtown. He's a really cool according to all his bios and things.
Is his last name Flag?
Flack.
Oh, it
Yeah.
sounded like Flag.
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 Yeah, his plan is crime abatement, shovel-ready properties and infrastructure. He wants to get things going. He really wants to focus on, like, actually getting things off the ground and not just sitting there and, like, patting people gently on the head.
Like me.
He has a proactive approach to governing, which is transparent communication with constituents and stakeholders. So I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but, if you're looking to vote, if, you just happen to stumble across name recognition, Jeff Fleck. Just if you see Jeff...
Jack Black.
Jack Black, yeah.
If you see it, Jeff Flack, or Flatch, if you want to know the spelling. It's Flach, but it's pronounced Flack because...
This studio highly recommends that you do in-depth research on your political candidates before choosing to support them.
Jack Black 2020.
However, if you just want to walk in, and I am very adamant that if you are living in Niagara, vote. Please vote in the local election.
Vote, people.
There are 3 seats up for grabs on the city council, so if you don't like the way things are going, I highly recommend you go vote.
Yeah.
Writing in totes my goats.
Should we start singing the Vote or Die song from South Park?
No. We're not turning into that kind of election. You fools.
You fools. But anyway...
in other Niagara Falls news, the Festival of Lights is coming back.
Oh, God!
The Festival of Lights is coming back. It's no longer called the Festival of Lights, though.
It's called what?
Jingle Falls. Which, okay.
Yeah, that's the best name.
Like, that is, like, I'm just excited because, like, Old Fall Street came out with the lineup for what's happening. There's gonna be, like, live reindeer and, like, sleigh rides, and Santa's coming down on a helicopter.
There's gonna be live reindeer as opposed to dead reindeer.
Yes!
Just dead reindeer corpses all over the floor.
Well, I mean, we do that for Halloween, but that's a different story. But it's going to be like it's like we're going back to the like 80s era Festival of Lights. I will definitely be walking around downtown when that's happening wearing my Festival of Lights pin circa 1985. Because I got one of those. I bought it and I was going through pins in an antique store and was like, oh, it's Santa. Why is Santa on a pin? Oh, it's Festival of Lights.
Oh.
It even says, and we weren't the Festival of Lights. We were a Festival of Lights. Because even though we were the first ones to do it, and actually we did it a year before Canada did, for some reason we decided, we're not the Festival of Lights. No, there is we're a Festival of Lights. Please don't sue us.
It's kind of like how...
and then Canada's like, we are the Festival of Lights.
The Festival of Lights.
You cheaters. Everyone thinks it started... They're like, oh, Canada did it first. I'm like, no, we did it first. Canada stole our idea.
It's like the same feuding with, like, music festivals. Like, we did it first.
No, we did
Fire Fest.
We had the first jazz festival in Lewiston. Meanwhile, Switzerland's just like, Montresu's the best!
I have great news story to talk about.
Okay, what you got?
Are you ready for this? Okay,
Yeah.
2 actually. So one is, let's discuss New York State. Specifically, let's discuss the wonder that is Empire State Development and our government dictator Andrew Cuomo.
You mean brother leader Andrew Cuomo?
Yeah, our fearless leader Andrew Cuomo. Well, first off, let's go back to in early summer. The guy that owns the Sheraton, DiCenzo, the Sheraton on 3rd Street that used to be the Hilton, that used to be the Ramada, that used to be all sorts of things.
That thing.
He's like, I want to build a 12-slide indoor water park. And it's going to be themed around Niagara Falls' like natural wonder attractions. And everyone's like, oh, that
It's
sounds...
going to be themed around water.
Like, yeah, and everyone's like, oh, that kind of sounds like Wonder Falls, but okay, cool. And he's like, well, I like tax breaks. And New York State's like, you're ripping off Wonder Falls. We're not giving you any tax breaks. And then, like, Uniland Development came over to talk about, like, what's going on with Wonder Falls. Like, well, we're creating a European-style water park with, like, real rock features, and it's very expensive. And getting investors, this is going to take a significant amount of time.
Once again...
I cannot stress how much of a significant amount of time this state-funded project will take. So then, Niagara County came and said, hey, DiCenzo, you want a bunch of tax breaks? Because we're ticked off now. So they gave them tax breaks. They're giving them, like, $1 million in just funds. Like, they literally just handed them $1 million, like, build it. Build it. We don't even care. Like, whatever you need, just build it.
What's the difference between a European-style water park and an American-style water park?
An American-style water park is like, oh, look, big slides, ooh, rainbows, colors, woo, kids. And in a European-style water park, it's like, oh, look, an actual scale model of Niagara Falls built out of quality rock stone with hot tubs and glorious lazy rivers. Everything is encrusted in European gilded wonder, and this is for adults.
The American style
all the Euro trash just flood in.
Yo. But, I mean, honestly, like, the DiCenzo one needs to exist because we need stuff to do during the winter. But, like we were saying, and they're like, oh, no, it's going to compete with Wonderfalls. Like, no, it's not. By the time Wonderfalls comes along when I'm, 87...
And when I am,
you'll be dead.
Dead, yeah.
Dead.
Well, my music lifestyle as a rock star will have killed me by then.
Bobby will be 94, even though I'm older than him. But Bobby just ages in Bobby years, which are slightly shorter than regular years.
Yeah.
In other side news, Niagara Falls is livid at Governor Cuomo, whose handlers were not able to move him away from Dave McKinley from Channel 2 quick enough.
Ha!
You see, Dave McKinley, or as I like to call him, the Snark Shark, who talks about the Oompa Loompas living in Niagara Falls hotels. Look it up. He's.
I'm mad because his name isn't spelt with a Q.
Okay,
pronunciation. How does it make sense?
Okay.
Grammar Nazi.
So he talked to the governor. He's like, so, Governor, since the Seneca thing's now going to arbitration, do you think that maybe since Niagara Falls is about to go bankrupt and have to raise their, business taxes 14%, which is just going to kill every business, like, you think that maybe the state should help them with money? And the governor looked and said, that would be unfair. You see, Niagara Falls got paid when the state got paid. And now the state's not getting paid, so Niagara Falls does not deserve more money. They should have known what to do here. I mean, is Niagara Falls gonna fill the shortfall for Albany? and his handlers ran over to him and pulled him out.
Just grab him.
Right then there. When
we have to get the deal leader out of here.
He cracked a joke like, hey, is Niagara Falls gonna pay for the state? Oh, I laugh at your pain and suffering. And his handlers had to grab him out.
He's just kicking a Niagara Falls person down there.
Resident warrior of Niagara, Ken Cosentino, who, if you're not familiar with him, wrote like a 20-page manifesto that he mailed to the governor about the lodge on Goat Island. He's very serious.
Hardcore. He's very hardcore.
Serious about, and I appreciate when people are serious about Niagara Falls, but he's really, like, you think I'm extreme about Niagara Falls. He's
hardcore.
Yeah. Basically one was like, I want a public apology from the governor, and I'm like, why don't we just write strongly worded letters? Like, there's 50,000 of us in the city. If we all took our time, and I don't mean emails, I mean, like, get a piece of paper, get out your quill, get out your ink, and
what time period do you think this is?
And long form it, wax stamp it, hand it over to some guy on a horse, and have him run it over to Albany.
Couldn't we just
pay for the horse? Pay for the horse.
Couldn't we just email him?
No, because no one reads emails. It's the emails are easy. You just do it on your phone. It needs to be like everyone should handwrite a letter because that shows A, we care, and B, we care so much we're willing to spend an obscene amount of money we don't have to get quills and ink and paper and stamps.
Hire a guy to run into
Hire a guy on a horse and preferably get him from Old Fort Niagara so he's wearing the proper attire.
So is he just going to run up to, like, the governor's mansion in Albany and throw the letters at
No, he's going to grab them all, and he's going to grab the bag, and he's going to nail the bag to the door.
Yeah.
And then he's going to ride off into the sunset saying...
Like he's Martin Luther here?
Yeah, he's a mixture between John Wayne, Martin Luther, and Martin Luther King Jr.
I have a dream that the governor will apologize.
And so anyways, yep. But it's funny because the Facebook reaction from the Niagara Falls conglomerate that's on Facebook, there's like one guy that kept going and he's like, Niagara Falls, it's time that we start moving to Western New York becomes its own state apart from the evils of Albany and New York City.
Revolution!
And I'm sitting here going, as a political scientist, I'm like, yes, except you would need like a 2/3 majority of all states to vote. You need to hold a very specific convention in Congress. It would take like 100 years, but I mean, and it's not going to work. Like, it's great. Every time California's like, we're North California is going to separate from South California. Like,
because that makes sense.
Like, no, it's not.
No,
like,
it's not.
Like, that's not how states work. You
No.
can't just be like, I'm a new state. Like, no, you're
And
not.
besides, Northern California is needed by Southern California for their weed.
Yeah.
Where else would they get the quality California weed?
But needless to say, people are very angry right now. And the local Republican Party in our lovely land of Niagara Falls is seeing this and going, this is the prime opportunity to take control of the council.
Yeah.
There's 3 seats up for grabs. We already know one person who may have been Republican. I'm not entirely sure. I can't
but it's
remember.
mostly,
I can't remember what party Walker was in.
it's
I know
mostly dominated by Democrats, right?
We
Because
are-
we are in New York State.
Okay, here's where it's weird though. Because we are Niagara Falls votes Democrat.
Yeah, I figure we're in New York State.
The
yeah.
last several elections they voted Democrat. But if you look at we are a Democratic city because I mean we're a city, we're naturally Democrat. But if you look at our county is Republican.
Yeah.
Niagara County is heavily rural Republican.
I know a lot. Yeah, I know a lot of rural Republicans
Niagara
out there.
County, as a matter of fact, everything in Western New York except Erie went to Trump. Erie only barely, by a very minimal margin, squeaked to Hillary.
Yeah.
County-wise, and that was only because of Buffalo.
Ah.
But the rest of Erie, it was barely squeaked it. It was
Barely.
bright glowing red and a light powder blue in Erie County.
Wow.
It was very, very, just barely squeaked it.
But yeah, I know there's a lot of Republicans
But
around this
Niagara
area.
Falls, here's the thing with, if you ever look, Niagara Falls has a high incumbency advantage. We very rarely throw out a council.
Yeah.
In fact, we almost never throw out a council. So, we have 2 incumbents running right now. We have Kristen Grandinetti and Andy Tuma.
Yeah.
Tuma looks like he's probably set to get in there. And
Yeah.
then there's a 3rd open seat.
Yeah.
Grandinetti's the one that's on the edge, though, because in the Democratic primary, she placed 3rd in the primary,
Yeah.
and this newcomer, Kennedy,
Yeah.
placed 2nd. There's 3 seats, but if a Republican gets in and somehow gets more votes, Grandinetti's kind of the one that might be on the chopping block at this point,
Yeah.
which my views of the council are complex.
Yeah.
But one of the things you must know studying Niagara Falls is the council always likes to talk a lot. So now, Tuma's sitting here and he's saying, looking at the mayor's budget and saying, mayor's like, we need to raise taxes. And he's like, there's other ways to do this. I'm sure there's a way we can just fire people out of the city.
Yeah.
Because basically the deal is, the mayor's like, okay, we're not firing anyone from city jobs.
Yeah.
We're saving money. We're going to raise taxes, and we're going to kind of group people together, but we're not going to fire anyone because we don't want anyone losing their jobs, even though we're broke. Where the council's more like, we don't want to raise taxes, even though most of them are Democrats. They don't want to raise taxes either, mainly because historically a majority of people in the council live in DeVoe,
Yeah.
which is the expensive house.
The very rich part.
It's upper middle class. It's not super rich.
Oh.
There's parts of it that are super rich, but mostly it's upper middle class.
Yeah.
Their houses are $200,000.
Yeah.
Houses 300. There's even a $300,000 house there, but they're between they're 6-figure houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Upper 6-figure houses. And DeVoe, and it tends to be that the people from the council do live in DeVoe. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I want to say as the NAACP came down.
It probably was the
And it
NAACP.
was the NAACP because they said that the way in which the council was elected was inherently biased against African Americans.
Yeah.
And the reasoning was our system is a winner-take-all system.
Yeah.
Buffalo had, I don't know if Buffalo still has districts.
Well, yeah.
But Buffalo, there was basically, you would elect a councilman or councilperson, councilwoman.
It's still
council wombat from each section. So you'd have someone from the North End. You'd have someone from like the Pine Avenue district. You'd have someone from LaSalle. You know, ours is winner take all. So DeVoe tends to win it.
Yeah.
And people tend to do what works best for DeVoe. That works in favor of a lot of people a lot of times because DeVoe does not want to increase taxes a nickel.
Yeah.
Because they have to pay the most in taxes because their house is worth the most. They're not paying more in taxes, but they're very frustrated the fact that they have to, even pay. And there was a lovely Facebook post that was complaining at community development, completely unrelated, that was talking about how dare that these students be allowed to live in houses in DeVoe. We are such a high-tax section of the city. They should have to live elsewhere in the city. And I'm sitting here like, one, you're literally a foot from the scorched out, desolate part of the city.
Yeah.
Like, DeVoe is only high-end because DeVoe has somehow constructed itself to do that.
Yeah.
Because right next to DeVoe is Highland.
Yeah, and
One end is Highland, the other end is the North End. I mean, they're basically banked on multiple sides by some of the most impoverished sections of Niagara Falls.
Don't you live next to one of the worst sections of Niagara Falls?
Not
Didn't you say you live next to
Pine Avenue.
Pine Avenue, yeah.
But even like, and I live on Hyde Park, but I also I spend a lot of time in a house on Pine Avenue or off of Pine Avenue, like near Main Street, which is kind of the sketch.
Yeah.
But a lot of what this city is very much, you are on one street, and that street is fine. That block on that street is fine. You go one block over, and it's seedy.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's seedy, it's that it's oftentimes either renters, and this is historically, renters put a bit less effort into maintaining houses because they're
renting.
They're temporary renting.
Yeah.
Same thing like when you're, leasing a car, you're less likely to, keep it all nice and polished because you're turning it in at some point. You're not owning it for life.
Yeah. You don't care.
It's like, not that you don't, it's you care less. You care a little. You don't want to lose your deposits or like cause serious damage, but you don't care a lot.
Yeah.
And that is some of the issues is we have, we're a high rental area. We're a high poverty. We've always been a high poverty area. We've been like quarter of the population in poverty for years. Years and years and years, quarter of the population has been like below the poverty line. I mean, that's a quarter of our population is below the poverty line. That's significant.
Yeah.
That's a significant thing. But at the same time, they're showing there's a lot of jobs available in Niagara Falls. They were just saying, and people are scratching their heads. The hotel and specifically the restaurant industry around here is getting a little peeved at the Culinary Institute because a lot of these hotels that have restaurants supported the Culinary Institute on 3rd Street thinking, okay, we'll be able to get students to come from the Culinary Institute and work here.
Yeah.
The problem is none of those students want to work here, so they all leave. And the Culinary Institute's like, well, a lot of them are still working in the area. They're going to Buffalo. And it's like, no, they're supposed to be coming in Niagara Falls. This was kind of the deal. And a lot of places, like, I post things inside the Culinary Institute, and I get no response, and the Culinary Institute doesn't help push, and the Culinary Institute's like, well, we're not going to push any individual kind of workplace, because, NCCC is so unbiased. And this is like, people are starting to get irritated, and the other thing that's irritating is, they're getting graduates fresh out of the Culinary Institute, and they're like, good, we don't have to spend for training anymore. That was the point, was we will hire people from the Culinary Institute because we won't have to send them off for kitchen training. Guess what all these restaurants have to do?
What?
They have to send them out for kitchen training.
Of course.
These kids are graduating the Culinary Institute, and yes, they know how to make a magnificent, 5-layer tiramisu, whatever, but they don't know how to properly, wash a dish.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like, the things
having friends who are in the restaurant business, it's a lot more, after you get the education, you gotta learn how the whole thing works.
Functions.
How it functions, how everything happens, how you got to stay in your place, how when you have your rung, you are lower than certain people,
Yes.
how the dishwashers are the scum of the earth and must do everything.
But I mean,
I say this with a friend who's a dishwasher. He tells me this. I am the lowest rung of the restaurant ladder.
You are the lowest rung. Dishwasher is the lowest rung. But I mean, that is what is so. I sit here shaking my head, and I'm like, really? We have this culinary institute, and the whole point of this was, yes, we'll finally be able to do this. And it's not working. But even then, now Niagara Falls just held a massive job fair at the convention center the other day. Because there's a lot of businesses in Niagara Falls that are now hiring. They're looking for people to work. And these are entry-level jobs. These are, so, you know, when a quarter of the population is below the poverty line, and unemployment is quite well above the state average in Niagara Falls. Well above the state average. I don't have the official numbers, but I know it's above the state average. They keep saying it.
Yeah.
And there's all these jobs open. There's a disconnect. Like, how is poverty so high and unemployment so high, and yet everyone's hiring? There's got to be something wrong here.
There appears to be a...
there appears to be some sort of flaw in the plan.
Yeah. So with that
rant.
Hi guys, I'm back.
Yeah, Bobby's here.
Bobby's here.
I'd like to bring up a topic. So, getting back to actual national news. So the obvious was discovered a while back.
Oh dear Lord! No.
So for those of you who don't know, Harvey Weinstein, he's local. He's actually, I think he's from Buffalo.
UB's revoking his honorary.
UB's revoking his honorary because it was found he used his position to basically sexually harass and abuse and assault women.
Well, I can't believe people hire trash cans.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It doesn't really surprise me because I can tell you that it's Hollywood. Any entertainment industry,
and
you have this.
Here's the deal with this. And the problem is, like, one reporter came out and said, I gave this story to the Times years ago, and the Times threw out the story because, I mean, money talks.
Yeah, and this has been a running joke in Hollywood.
This is the other thing I have to say. Why does this keep... I mean, this guy should automatically be thrown in jail for the rest of eternity.
Oh, immediately, yeah.
If this guy's a horrible person.
If he is found guilty, throw him in prison, yeah.
But on the other end... Now everyone comes out of the woodwork and like, oh, I was afraid to... and everyone... I get it, you're afraid to talk. But... Come on, he's been doing this for years. Like, and everyone knew it.
Yeah.
And how many of the... Now all of a sudden, like, how many actresses are coming out now? And are like, yeah, he was sexually harassing me.
Yeah.
Like, and then you thanked him when he won you an Oscar.
Well, it's the appeal of the career, of the fortune and fame you can make in Hollywood.
And this is like one of the issues is... And this is the reason why people like this can get away with this.
Yeah.
Is because they know you really want this job.
Yeah.
You really want to be a star. And you're willing, as much as you're not going to admit it, you're willing to accept a certain level of harassment because it's the name of the game. And that should not be acceptable.
That's
in your mind immediately if someone even does that, you should be going right to the cops.
You should.
And yes, but the problem is they're afraid of being blacklisted. Like, I'm going to get blacklisted in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, this is like a very specific thing.
For mostly
and a lot of people in general, they're afraid to lose their jobs. They're afraid to be blacklisted. They're afraid. We need to get rid of that stigma of fear and just... Yeah. I mean, come on already. You're putting up with this?
I mean, this is something you see in every entertainment. They use their position of power to basically say that if you report me, and they can get away with this, if you report me, you will never have a job in this town again. You will never be in this business, and I will have you blackballed because it's my name against yours. And that is insane, but it happens so much with Hollywood and any entertainment industry.
And this is one of my issues. Like, sometimes you just, and I get it, Like sometimes you really want this. You really want
Really
to be a star.
want this
You really
job,
want
yeah.
this, and you're
Yeah.
willing to, just kind of look the other way at some point. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's our home skillet is coming in, so I'm gonna bump that up. You might want to open that door. Oh boy.
Come in. We're talking about Harvey Weinstein
not.
and how terrible Hollywood is.
We're also talking about all sorts of things. So whatever he wants, he's gonna sit on our floor. This is
A friend of ours just walked in, folks.
my home skillet. His name is Biceps McGee.
Biceps McGee here.
Yep.
He's
Say
not-
hi to the people.
Hi, people. How many people are listening?
6.
6.
Oh, my house is
We had 10 at one point.
than I have. You know?
We have 6 listeners.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can take that headphones back.
But yeah. Oh yeah. You can here take the headphones.
so you can hear yourself in the background.
Yeah. But that's getting back to what we were saying. This is just insane.
This is
And it happens so much in Hollywood, and it's the reason that you have so many issues. It's the reason you have so many issues. Like, you have producers taking advantage of so many people because they are sort of sociopathic and know they have a position of power so they can prey on whoever they want.
I mean, this was so known, though.
They
that
crack
when
jokes about it.
Seth MacFarlane at what was it? Was
The
it at
Oscars.
The Oscars. Literally cracked a joke out of it, like, women, you finally have to stop putting up with
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein's advances. Like, because he knew what was going on. And so he cracked the joke, but everyone goes, oh yeah, that, like, looks the other way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and at this point in Hollywood, like, you've reached the point now, come on out. Like, can we show this now?
Yeah.
And then Harvey Firestein had to come out on Twitter and remind people that he's not Harvey Weinstein. Because people just can't seem to, figure out the difference.
Yeah, the name's a little different. But, yeah, it's crazy and just insane. And really, at this point, Hollywood can't act holier than thou.
Well, Hollywood is a mess.
Yeah, Los Angeles, people who live in Los Angeles, you cannot act holier than thou and think you know everything. Same goes for people in New York City. You cannot act holier than thou and say, oh, we are the pinnacle of society.
Well,
we know better than everyone.
There's this entitlement that forms. And this is in the entertainment industry, there's an entitlement that forms.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
And, this is... you don't watch The View. I mean...
I hate The View. I hate The View with a burning passion.
The View just got a new conservative pundit, and it's John McCain's daughter.
Ha!
It's... And she's because she's sitting here and she's trying to point out, like, right now, it's really bad to be a conservative in Hollywood right now. Even if you're an anti-Trump conservative, if you're just a conservative, it's a bad time to be in Hollywood.
There are certain places,
Whoopi pointed out it does shift because when you were there was a period when you were liberal in Hollywood, it was bad.
Oh yeah.
But there's also it does shift. But right now, it's bad to be a conservative. You do not be a conservative in Hollywood.
Oh yeah. There are certain cities, like, if you are either a conservative or a Republican, they'll take you out to the woodshed. Like Los Angeles, New York, Boston. If you are a Republican in Boston, they will shoot you.
Yeah.
There are certain places where you just cannot be a conservative or a Republican. And the entertainment industry is one of those main places. I can only count on my hand so many conservatives I know in Hollywood.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
There's not a lot.
Most of them are old guard.
Like Clint Eastwood. And
they're the old guard conservatives.
Yeah.
They're the ones when conservatives were cool,
Yeah.
But some of the, like, ridiculousness in all of this, even, like, politically, is...
We get to sing the Trump's a Fascist song?
No.
Great.
Here's the deal. If you pull someone down individually and talk to them long enough, you'll find they're probably not, like... Here's the thing with both parties. Democrats are not really... Democrats are...
Yeah, they're not as liberal as you think.
Democrats are very much the club you're just in. Like, a lot of especially Democrats around here, are not even remotely like what you consider Democrats.
Yeah.
Democrats around here are like, Second Amendment loving,
They're conservative Democrats.
They're like, and it's funny because they're they identify as Democrats, and then their profile pictures of them like shooting off AR-15s,
dual wielding pistols. Yeah.
And you're like, okay. So, you're that brand, and that's the brand of Democrat we have here.
Yeah.
And the brand of Republican we have here,
Yeah, even
the situation. But, I mean, if I talk to someone long enough, I never start a statement by saying, yes, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to walk into a statement and start by saying, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm an independent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I noticed, if I talk to someone long enough, and they say they're a Democrat, and say, well, what about this? And you talk to them long enough about their ideas and what their beliefs are, they're pretty on par with mine.
Yeah.
Because I am, and my family's basically a liberal Republican. We're not Democrat because just the party itself. I have issues with the Republican Party.
That's why
I have like severe issues with the Republican Party.
That's why I became an independent. I had problems with both the Democrats and Republican parties.
But the issues I have with the Republican Party are mainly that they're kind of stubborn.
The Democrats?
No, the Republicans.
Oh, the Republicans.
The Republicans are a bit stubborn and goofy, and like don't know when to like, okay, take a beat, like calm down. This isn't the end of the world. But the Democrats, and this is the reason why I couldn't, because I registered Republican because I like voting in primaries.
Yeah.
Like that's and I don't care much about like national elections, because the way by the time it trickles down, New York State controls what I do.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the federal government. Has very little control over New York State. The state has New York State.
New York does what it wants.
An absurd amount of power.
Yeah.
So I care about like having that chance. If there's a Republican candidate that I like, I want to be able to push them forward. And a lot of times, historically, I have voted in the last few elections I voted in.
Yeah.
So I voted in the mayoral election, and I voted in the presidential election. Those are the last two elections I voted in.
Yeah.
And I actually registered to vote for the mayor. I didn't register to vote for anything else. I decided to register to vote when mayoral election came out because I wanted to vote for mayor.
Yeah.
Because that was important to me. Like, I wanted to say in my city. You know how I am.
Yeah.
So, but I voted for Paul. I voted for Deister. I did not vote for Ricardo. I voted Democrat.
Yeah.
And I voted pretty much across the board that year Democrat.
Yeah.
With the exception of I voted for Ezra, but I did vote for Kenny.
Ah.
And he's Republican.
Oh.
He has to be Republican.
Very
There's like
nice.
2 Republicans in. I think he's one of them. And then with the national election I voted for Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, I voted for Hillary. And I didn't vote for Hillary because I liked Hillary, because Hillary was irritating me.
Oh, yeah.
But I was voting for Hillary because I was like, okay, she's worked hard enough for this. This is her goal her entire life. I know what I'm getting with her. And you know what? Let's just give it to her. And that's what... I didn't even vote because I was like, oh, I love Hillary and, Trump's the Antichrist. I voted for Hillary because it's like, just give it to her. She's worked harder than this. Trump seems like a guy who just did it on a whim because he said, I'm going to run for president one of these days, and just did it. And I was like, Trump probably knows more about the economy, which would probably be better. I wasn't sure either way, but I was like, I'll vote for Hillary because a bit more stable.
Yeah.
And
then she ended up...
But then when Trump got elected, I was like...
losing.
I was like, okay. I went to Walmart the next day, bought some deep fried Twinkies, and was like, yee, America! Because I didn't care either way at the time. I was like, okay, Trump's an old, goofy, old era, says whatever he feels like because he's old. That guy. He's that baby boomer kind of individual that just says what he thinks,
involving words such as huge.
And in my mind, I thought that's very much a generational thing.
Well, I also
think
think
that generation is very much like that.
Well, I also think he's a stereotypical New Yorker in a way,
and he is. And it's funny because he's cutting deals with Schumer. And this is where my issues with the Democratic Party again are. The Democratic Party is so like, we are the Democrats, do not go against the Democrats. Psychotically so.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing, the Republicans never agree on anything. The Republicans can never get their act together and push anything through because the Republicans are so, there's no such thing is a Democrat in name only. You never hear the phrase Democrat in name only.
Yeah.
You always hear Republican in name only. You always hear about rhinos.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans are so wide. There's, the conservative, like, the Bible Belt Republicans.
Yeah. Then you have the moderates, the libertarians.
There's libertarians over on there, and Tea Party on that other goofy end. You have people like John McCain. You have people like Kasich.
Yeah.
You have people like me who are really, really almost independent, but we're just inching just a little bit more towards Republican economic-wise.
Yeah.
I like their economic ideas, and I like, their strategies. Usually the economy doesn't go on this crazy run under a Republican. It will collapse at some point, but if you look historically as the bubbles are put in place, Republicans have a much better time at kind of stable, making the economy. Democrats are really good if you want the economy to run.
Yeah.
Like you want, the economy was like, when you had Bill Clinton, the economy was like
booming,
running.
yeah.
It was like booming, but it was an artificial boom, and then all the bubbles started bursting, and then that's how, and then you had Bush, and we were in debt, but still simultaneously you had all this subprime lending and all these things, and people buying more than their means, and that's more of a public thing, and then that bubble burst, and that was something we had to deal with, which still comes from the Clinton administration. If you look, it does, and then Obama ran the economy. I mean, the economy, the reason the economy is booming right now under Trump is because of things that Obama kind of started putting in place that kept spearing the economy farther and farther ahead. But at some point, eventually, the economy is going to take a tumble again.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of time. The economy cannot increase at this rapid. We are not a developing country that can have like have this like 4-6% GDP increase. You cannot have that kind of. It doesn't sustain itself.
Yeah.
It will stop, and you're going to hit a recession. And recessions happen. I mean, depending on, no matter which side of president, the economy is the economy. I just feel a bit more comfortable with the Republicans. You want to know why I feel more comfortable with the Republicans?
Why, pray tell?
Okay. And this is pay attention, people.
I am. I'm sitting very intently.
The Democrats will, if you go against the Democrats, they will assassinate you with they're attacking Nancy Pelosi because she cut a deal with,
which annoys
Trump.
me.
And Trump's trying to pull out of that deal because, Trump.
Trump's Trump.
Because the Republicans are like, Trump, what are you doing? Please don't. They're not. But you notice, very rarely will they attack. They don't attack. Republicans don't attack other Republicans.
Yeah.
They really don't.
They don't.
They're united. They don't like each other. They can't agree on anything, but they never explicitly attack each other unless it goes to the one now that is retiring, that is the one senator that is
from Tennessee, Corker.
Corker. We're about to enter World War III. Okay, that's a red flag. Someone should be paying attention to that because when the Republicans don't talk like that.
Yeah.
We don't ever go there. The Democrats are very protective of the Democratic Party lockstep. And if you go out of step, you will be cleaved clean from the party. Pelosi got so much flack from the Democrats by trying to cut a deal in which her and Schumer basically were getting everything the Democrats wanted, but because they negotiated with Republicans, you're cleaved off because you went out of lock and step. When the DNC leak happened, and this is what that Russian investigation is. Please never forget that it is the fact that it was leaked from DNC emails that the Democratic Party, the Democrats were doing everything they could to make sure Bernie did not get the nomination.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean shady tactics.
Oh,
that is proven in these emails. But the problem is, lockstep, the Democrats are very good. Wasserman Schultz jumped on that grenade because that is what you do as a Democrat. If that happened in the Republican Party, there would have been no one to jump on that grenade. This would have happened. The Republican Party would have been finished. But because it was the Democrats, lockstep, someone falls on that grenade, destroys their political career, so the Democratic machine can continue to march forward. And that is my biggest disagreement with the party. You can't disagree with the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to. I disagree with almost everything that comes out of the Republicans' mouth. As a Republican, I disagree with so much that they say, but I have that right to do that, and they're not going to kick me out of the Republican Party.
Yeah, the Democrats to me, seem to be almost like, I compare it almost to the mafia, because, and the reason I compare it to is the near fanatical loyalty to the Democratic Party, and if you step out of line, you're gone. Your political career's gone.
And that is true.
And that's a problem, because you have these fanatics.
Look at Niagara Falls right now, and I really want to point this out in Niagara Falls, and I'm not going to throw anyone up. I need to say it. This deal with the Senecas and this casino money is absurd. I watched that press conference with the Senecas. They said we would be willing to negotiate with the cities. They sent a representative to Niagara Falls. It gets to the gate. Our mayor, because our mayor lockstep with the governor. Because you do not go against the governor, he will ruin you. And it's not Paul's fault. The governor controls everything. He does. Cuomo has an obscene amount of control. I mean, you want to talk about, look at the two Democratic states, New York and California. If there wasn't any more of a lockstep state in place than New York and California, you do not go against the Democratic Party in either of these states. It's dangerous.
What about, there are other states like that too, like Massachusetts.
And I mean, we're sitting here now, so basically, because Paul was assured it won't go to arbitration, it won't go to arbitration, it won't go to arbitration, Seneca's like, we will give you the money, negotiate with us. Just, we're not paying, we don't want to pay the state, but we're willing to pay you. No, you need to negotiate with the governor will handle this, we can't go against the governor. And in one mind, you know, a lot of people are like, blaming the mayor because he didn't want to go against the governor. But if he would have gone against the governor, look at what the governor already said. When we said, well, can't you give us some money? He said, well, does Niagara Falls want to pay for us? Yeah. I mean, you can't, he would pull all the funding out of this city so quickly. And we do receive a fair amount of funding from Niagara Falls, USA, and a lot of things are paid for, you know, subsidized by the state. They would be pulled out so quickly. We would choke. I mean, we're in a rock and a hard place at this point. But that is one of my frustrations with because if this was the other way around and this was the Republicans, oh, you'd be certain that if it was a Republican with a Republican governor, they could butt heads.
Yeah.
Historically, Edent Lackey was a Democrat.
Really?
Lackey was a Democrat.
He does not seem like a Democrat.
Well, this was before the Democratic-Republican shift.
Oh.
Remember when they flipped?
So he's like a sort of Southern Democrat.
Yeah, he was like... He was, well, the other thing was, he was very... As much as he was a Democrat, he went along with a lot of the Republicans. He, you know, promoted Rockefeller for governor. He promoted a lot of the Republicans for county. And the Democratic Party... And this is a known fact. The Democratic Party were so angry at him for doing this, for going along with the Republicans, being a Democrat. They put so much pressure on him, he had a stroke in office.
Jeez.
At one point, they asked him I think it was 1974. They came in, he was in tears. They said, if you would have asked me last week what was going on, I would have said I quit. He was going to quit being mayor. He got this close, and then finally things kind of cooled off for a second. The feds came in and started looking into the Republican Party within Niagara Falls.
Wow.
And guess what came of it? And guess what? It cost the city a ton of things and almost bankrupted the city for it to come out and them to say the Republicans did absolutely nothing.
Wow.
But they still came in. The Democrats came because it was the Democrats were in charge and came down and said, let's see how we can knock the Republicans down a couple pegs. The Republicans like to knock the Democrats, but the Republicans are not organized enough to ever knock anyone down a couple pegs. How many times are we going to try to, you know, overturn Obamacare? We can't do it. It can't happen.
Because not every single Republican's going to agree.
They're not going to agree on it.
Yeah.
And they never will, because the Republicans are a lot more willing to go against their own party.
Yeah.
And the Democrats never will.
I've never seen, like, a Democrat in the Senate or the House disagree, like, vote against the Democratic. I've rarely seen that. Rarely. Very rarely have I seen that.
You want to see a system in which everything you currently like stays the same? Put the Republicans in office.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, there is a lot of media where, oh my gosh, they're going to try to return this, oh my gosh, you know, and the Republicans are doing stupid things like with the agencies, what they can control, like cutting back regulations and stuff.
And also killing the EPA, which,
you know, killing the EPA. But guess what happens? It's a 4 to 8 year shift. It's usually an 8 year shift, but considering what's going on now, it could very well be a 4-year shift, and it could go Democrat, right back to Democrat. And then the Democrats put him back into place.
Well,
and guess what? It takes a lot of years to shift everything in any which way. You can't, 100 days is a myth.
yeah.
Things do not roll as they do. And the state still has a lot of power. So, like, when they're like, oh, no, they're rolling back EPA regulations. Yeah, but the state's not
New York State ain't gonna do that.
rolling back the DEC. I mean, the DEC just charged Niagara Falls again with any, sewer discharge into the water, discolored the water. Like, you're going to have to pay $37,000. And the water board responded like, hey, we have no money to update our system. And Investigative posted a wonderful piece on this.
Yeah?
Which is, you want to hear how ridiculous. And this is because Maid of the Mist was so wonderful enough to have tweeted it out. And being Maid of the Mist, everyone paid attention. It became a worldwide faux pas.
Yeah.
Niagara Falls had sewer overflows 54 times in 2016.
Wow.
And 57 times in 2015. Wow. There's been over 500 this year, with I think it was like a third of them in Western New York, with the majority in Buffalo and Tonawanda.
Wow.
And no one bats an eyelash, and they never get fined. But for some reason now Niagara Falls, because people are paying attention, because it was in the news all the way as far away as the Daily Mail in England, because Maid of the Mist was dumb enough to tweet it out. And I'm sorry, Maid of the Mist, what were you thinking?
Why do the Brits care about us?
Because A Wonder of the World was being covered in sewage. This is a major, this is a major disaster. You turn the water black.
I keep forgetting that I live next to a Wonder
of the World, because we keep forgetting to mention that in all of our deals when how are we broke? But this is on Maid of the Mist part as a PR person. Maid of the Mist, this was the worst mistake for both your company and Niagara Falls in general you could do, because people are now going to be a little bit more hesitant to come. They're going to go to the Canadian side, and you don't own the Canadian side anymore. That's Hornblower, so you're losing business. And guess what? It would have gotten out that this happened, because this was a severe bright sunny day, giant inky black water.
Yeah.
People are tweeting about this. But if you watched every single news story, video courtesy Rainbow Air helicopter via Maid of the Mist. Maid of the Mist asked the helicopter, get this aerial shot for me, record this video so I can post it on Twitter, tag the mayor, and say what's going on. Now, that makes sense if you're like a government official, like, hey, mayor, what's going on? Like, tag that, why is this happening? But when you're Maid of the Mist, the last thing you want to do when you're doing, when people start going, oh, like, why is the water turning inky black and smelling like death? The last thing you want to do as a company, when your entire business focuses around you're a boat in this water, is tweet at the mayor on a thing, followed by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people on Twitter saying, hey, why is the water black? On worldwide internet. This is you make a phone call.
Yeah.
This isn't you tweet it, and I know you want to tweet it out because you're thinking, oh, I'll get the mayor's attention. But whatever intern or whoever you had working PR there, this was the dumbest mistake you could have ever made.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Your name is now tied to this. Maid of the Mist recorded a video of the water turning inky black. What's wrong with Niagara Falls? Clearly, every business in Niagara Falls has no clue what it's doing, and Niagara Falls is so dysfunctional. Maybe we should go to the Canadian side.
Yeah.
Because the Canadian side doesn't do that.
No.
And it was immediately tied to the American side. Here's video from the Maid of the Mist.
Yeah.
That hurt your own brand, Maid of the Mist.
Now the Canadians are getting all the business.
Now the Canadians get the business again. And our reporters keep coming going, how do you feel about there's another sewer discharge? And all the tourists are like, there's another sewer discharge? And us here in Niagara Falls are sitting here like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, and you want to know how long I've known about these discharges? New York State actually set up this year, it has to warn you. You have to warn residents every time there's a discharge if you sign up for the alerts. And I follow the Action Niagara Falls. There was like every other week. Every time it rained, there was a post, because it rained a lot this year.
Yeah.
There was rain. Every time it rained, there was an overflow.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of overflow. I actually wasn't able to get a job at like the Park Service because there was so much overflow.
Yeah, this was like, there's so much rain and sewage and like mess. But what killed me with this is, about, I'd say, 2 or 3 weeks before the inky black discharge event occurred. And that one was a mechanical failure. That wasn't an overflow. That was a mechanical failure in the middle. You could tell because it was the middle of a sunny day. That one was a mistake.
Yeah.
But But I was talking to my friend. We had gone down to the bottom where the Sholkoff penstocks are. Remember where I brought you?
Oh yeah, and there was a ton of. I remember there are holes and a ton of background. Check those out, people who enjoy adventuring.
You can't go there now. They currently they're reworking on the paths.
Oh,
so it's blocked for the next 30 days.
Yeah,
but
in the next after 30 days, go visit it.
I was down there with my friend. And she was hopping on the rocks next to the water.
Yeah,
and I said I wouldn't. And I'm staying 5 miles away. I'm like, don't do that. And she's like, why? She's like, I've fallen in the water. You think I'm going to drown or something? I'm like, no, because there is, in that area, there's not actually rapids.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to go, don't go in the water because it's still dangerous. Like,
yeah.
You could slip into the river. It's bad. But, it's calm water. But she's hopping around the rocks. I'm like, don't do that. I'm like, and she's like, why, you think I'm going to get injured? I said, no, because if you fall and get any of that water on you, you're going to die of dysentery.
Oh!
And she looked at me and she's like, what do you, I said, this is all sewer water. I'm like, we dump our sewage into the river. Like, don't be this water is not safe. There's a lot of stuff in this water. I don't get it on you. And I was very strict. I'm like, don't get any of this water on you. She's like, nah. 2 weeks later, comes out the inky black discharge, and I said, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're gonna get dysentery from the, because I know this. I live in Niagara Falls. I know where do you think the sewage goes? You think it poof magically floats? So no, it gets dumped right below the falls.
Yeah. Which is all the more disturbing because I've swam in that lake before.
Oh, you poor boy. Don't you ever read about the flesh-eating bacteria boy?
I was young and stupid.
Oh, poor Joe.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine now, don't worry.
Fish.
Yeah, for those of you who are having depression problems, eat our fish. Eat our fish.
So that was fun, guys.
I'm just
happy to be here.
This was a good... Do you guys want to contribute anything?
Let's be an entertainment show next week.
No, we can close it out with this. Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
I got a good look at Cuphead.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like, really, really, really hard.
Do you think that there are overly, religious themes in that game, since you're battling Satan?
Well, you're trying to get soul contracts for them. I don't think there's a religious theme. I think it was just done because they needed, an old-timey 30s, sort of story for it. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to go for that.
Where's my Deus Vault game?
You're not... Okay, you're not... Go play Mordau. Go play Mordau and Chivalry. You'll get your Crusade video games. They're good games. Play them.
Well, that's all the time we have.
We have 3 minutes.
That's all the time we have.
So we're going to close it off, ladies and gentlemen, with Miles Davis.
I guess because you like playing freeform jazz.
He's one of the best jazz players of all
Smooth
time.
jazz.
It's not smooth. It's
You like jazz.
you like jazz. I've only seen that B movie once. Yeah. I don't remember anything from it.
You don't need to see the B movie more than once.
You don't. It's a terrible movie,
terrible.
People.
That was the dark ages of cartoons.
Jerry Seinfeld just not on his game.
That was when Disney and DreamWorks were in a race to the bottom.
I remember that.
Oh, but Meet the Robinsons was such a good movie from Disney. It's so underrated.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good movie.
And the B movie made me.
B movie was bad.
So many memes. The endless memes.
Remember I'm surprised they haven't switched over to Over the Hedge.
That's a terrible.
And Steve Carell's a squirrel for some reason.
It was a terrible one. I saw that. I think did Nostalgia Critic review that one?
Probably. I
think he did.
I don't.
I saw the recent episode he did on It.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was
for
good.
Niagara 124, I'm Nico.
I'm Joe Jose Mara.
I exist.
Barely.
And I'm Biceps McGee.
Biceps McGee.
And this has been Niagara 124. Hopefully we can upload the one episode we forgot to upload last week and this episode in a timely manner. If we don't, we don't, because some of us have got to do things. But we thank you for your patience. Remember to like and subscribe the YouTube channel, folks.
Niagara 1/24. Like.
Very best of Shiny Yak.
Subscribe to page. It's great.
It's great.
Yes.
And now, take us away, Miles. Do your thing.